Okay, Table Talk episode number 4,
4.
I think. Yeah, and it's gloomy and wet and annoying outside, but we have our nice warm coffee from Wawa. Thank you to Wawa for not sponsoring this video.
One day.
One day, maybe. So a couple of things to talk about, I think. Is Amanda, she overhears a lot of our conversations with our clients while we're talking. But she pointed something out to me that, I don't know, I guess it kind of went over my head a little bit, but she thought it was more, what's the word? Poignant? Powerful than, like, in the moment I had with a client. So why don't you go ahead and say...
First, let me say I don't eavesdrop the whole time.
She doesn't eavesdrop the whole time.
But I'm in close proximity, so I
Yeah.
do get the pleasure sometimes of hearing certain things that, I think stand out more to me than you.
Right.
So we have a client today who's in his second program, which is pretty great.
He's doing awesome.
Continuing to progress.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I heard him say today that just really stopped me in my tasks was he saying, he's feeling really good, he's doing this, and then he said, I don't think I realized, I don't know if he said what kind of pain or how uncomfortable I was before. And that's something that I think that, like, when you, whatever you're doing, whether it's sleep, whether it's pain, once you're to a good place, it's very easy to forget where you were or what things felt like.
Or you don't realize, I think it's the other way around too, is like maybe you don't realize like how good you could feel, right? Like you don't really know how bad it is until you realize, wow, holy crap, I feel so much better than I did.
Sure.
I didn't realize how uncomfortable I really was, thinking I was just sort of like this standard, like this is just how it is. You know?
If I work out,
Right. And he's an active guy. Let's set that. He
very fit.
Yeah, very fit guy. Likes to run. Does some CrossFit stuff. Weight trains. Yeah.
And came to us, I think initially knowing that like what I'm feeling is not good and it could be going down a bad path.
Yeah.
And now has reached a point where, I mean, he's feeling great, but it just really struck me and I was like, yes, that's the whole goal when you commit and you do this for yourself.
I think it's hard for people to imagine certain things. Like, and I've been there. I've dealt with my own orthopedic stuff, right? So a little transparency. I dislocated my shoulder. I've torn my calf, all within like a period of a couple weeks from each other, and it's hard to be like, okay, like this isn't going to be things that are going to be problematic for the rest of my life, right? It's hard to not think that way, think, man, I'm always going to have to deal with this issue, or I'm always going to have to deal with this issue, or am I going to be able to get back to, running, pressing overhead, whatever that activity is when you're dealing with these things. Because like I'm starting to run now, I'm doing Broad Street run here in Philly, which is a 10-mile run, and like I've been feeling really good, and like after my first few runs, like it was kind of crazy for me a little bit to think that like, wow, look where I was a year and a half ago, less really, yeah, and look where I am now, and to this patient's comment, him not realizing how good he could feel with a good structured program and a plan, and like if he does feel a little bit smudgy or a little discomfort, like we take care of it right away, and we like alter things and we change it, and
it was exciting to hear him say it. And also like I took a second, I was thinking like, so glad he's at that place, and then I was thinking about his journey in particular, at least what I have seen of it, and I know that like he asks a lot of questions. He comes to open gym when he can. He's just committed. He has young kids, and he wants to be as active as possible. And we all have different goals in different situations. But he's someone who just like embraced the whole
process.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, that's very true. I think that like because he has deeper reasons, right? It's not that like, oh, I want my hip to feel better so I can make it through a day. It's like, I want my hip to feel better so I can lift weights and run, so I can, feel like I'm in a good place, so I can, be really present and, active with my kids. He's got young kids and he wants to teach them the same. So yeah, I think people with those many layers of reasons why they want to feel better are the ones that typically do the best versus like, my shoulder hurts.
Yeah. And it's just interesting to see their range because humans are interesting people and it depends on the day. It depends what else is going on in your day. But I'm thinking about, we had another instance with a client who's doing really well and had a moment of not feeling great and getting kind of down. But then with talking, there was still like
reasons to
kind of reviewing and being like, okay, like totally get that this happens, or my favorite little poster sign we have is like healing is not linear, so like there's going to be some tougher days. But then when asking them some questions like, okay, you came with this, how is that? Oh, that's a lot better. Oh, and this was also bothering you at the beginning, is that the same? No, that's actually better. And so for the first client we're talking about, he kind of had that realization on his own. But it's an interesting thing to point out because even if people are feeling down and they have committed to the process, there's a lot of growth they've already made. I think when you look at that's really tricky. Humans are complex and everyone's going to be so different. So that's like the challenge of like some of these rehab, especially the people that we see. Right, we don't see just like your acute ankle sprains that like you get them better in 6 to 8 weeks. They're off doing their thing, right? And that can have its challenges too. I'm not saying that's necessarily easy to do, but we see people that are dealing with like long term, kind of a lot of complexity to their pain. They've sought out solutions and haven't felt better. So there's a little bit more to unpack with these people than let's say people that are coming to us like as their first, practitioner. Right.
And to that point is like, you have to point out the small wins. And for this particular individual, like she had a bad week, whether that was something that we did in our sessions or she did with her trainer, like who really knows, right? Added stress from home. And it took a lot of digging to uncover the things I was like, that have improved. Even just like sitting in a car and driving wasn't painful. And like the wins are those types of things. Like the pain number itself isn't always the outcome, right? Maybe it's like the frequency of the pain. How often does it occur? How much intensity do you need to do to bring that level on? Versus like my pain went from a 9 to a 4. Maybe it's still a 9, but like it takes a lot more effort to get it up to a 9. Those are all small things that like sometimes we have to dig out,
right,
and point out.
Yeah, and that happens, as hard as I'm sure it feels your job might be at times, due to the complexity, this is a space where you can really dig into that. So for people who are going other places and they don't have a therapist who has the time, attention, or skill to uncover those things and deal with them, it's cool to be an observer to what the changes that can truly happen.
No, thanks. And that's what, when we were planning Resolve, you and I, that was like the model, was like, how do we optimize people's outcomes and get them feeling like better than they thought they necessarily could. And the way we set it up was a hybrid model where we have one-on-one time together. We can like dig deep and have deep conversations and like move around and feel what feels good, feel what doesn't feel good, and like put a plan together. But then there's all the communication that occurs like in between the session. And like that's the depth. Is like, cool, in a couple of days, you need to know how you responded to this, how the exercise is going at home. Like, oh, this one brings me pain, but this one feels good. Cool, like that's information we need to know. We could adjust on the fly if we have to.
Right.
And it allows deeper connection, I think, between us, us and the client. And that's what a client-centered approach is like. It's about them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then through that communication and through working all that out, as they go through, the way that the sessions look change a lot. So all of a sudden they've gone from a very like, rehab-y thing to more of a training session.
Yeah.
And then now they're just doing stuff maybe they didn't even think possible, and they never knew how to do because they end up coaching, whether
Right.
it's, you know, weight training, whatever it is. It's a whole spectrum, a whole experience.
Yeah, so it's a continuum, right? Meet them where they're at, and like, you know, find an on ramp, as we like to use here, of like exercise, even though it may seem very simple and like low level, right? But that's what their body is tolerating right now. Then over time, you just see, cool. Now they're like squatting. Now they're maybe even like doing some more resistance training and some cardio training. It's just like this evolving thing. Yeah, it's pretty fun. It is fun to see these people change.
Well, it's fun to be a little fly on the wall.
Yeah, so that's a little kind of like insight into like our, well, how would you say, insight into like the people we see,
well, just like what can truly happen.
Yeah.
You know, I know we kind of revisit this whole idea a lot in terms of like PT doesn't have to be what people assume it is.
Right.
And so when you find a place that really is there for you and has the ability to listen and get you to your goals, even if you're a case that other places may not have been able to fully understand, that it's pretty crazy what can happen, and then to look back and be like, didn't think that was possible.
Yeah.
But now I get to have a whole new look on life.
Yeah. Side note here, which might be another few more minutes added onto this, but like, it's about finding the right practitioner, but it's got to be internal, right? It's not me. Like, my clients do not rely on me doing something for them.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting on the table where I like, you know, manipulate or crack or do whatever, and they're like, oh, I feel 1,000 times better. Yeah, like that might be useful for like a quick little like jolt of pain relief to get them tolerating the movement we do out in the gym, but that's not a long-term solution. So for these awesome changes we see, it's coming from the client doing the work, is coming from their drive to circle us back to the reasons why, and tying, you know, everything into like why we're doing what we're doing, and you know, keeping them focused on the goal.
Yeah, and I feel like that will maybe lead us to our next table talk of what it actually looks like in a session versus what you may think or may look other places, like what you can expect.
That's good.
To give you a little inside scoop as to like why these changes are happening for people.
Yeah, that's good. I think people will realize this is not your standard place.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So any sort of like last information, like personal life, personal stuff. So what's going on with the kiddos? So the kiddos are, you know, Maya's winding down her dance season. They have the dance recital coming up. And she's getting to softball. Nate also is doing hip hop. So this is just, you know, we're managing business, managing life, managing marriage, kiddos, and that's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We hope everyone is managing as well.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. All right, talk to you guys soon. Peace.